What are the unsolicited advice you received when pregnant? Is not walking under the sun one of it? Adoni stretched on the couch, her swollen belly rising and falling as she laughed at a meme Kola had just sent her. "This is too funny," she said, shaking her head and clicking off her phone. She glanced outside. The sun blazed in the clear sky, and the neighborhood was quiet except for the occasional hums of motorcycles. "I should stretch my legs," Adoni said, standing up. The baby kicked, and she smiled. "All right, little one, let's get some hair." As she stepped out, the heat embraced her. She grabbed her sunglasses and adjusted her flowy maternity dress. But before she reached the gate, Ajoke, a neighbor, spotted her. "Adoni," Ajoke called, rushing over. She held a basket of tomatoes, a wrapper tied firmly around her waist. "What are you doing outside in this sun?" Adoni blinked. "I am just going for a short walk." Ajoke gasped, her eyes wide. No, you can't walk in the sun like this. You're pregnant." Adoni frowned. "Why not? It's just a walk." Ajoke lowered her voice and leaned closer. "The sun isn't safe for pregnant women, especially in the afternoon. Haven't you heard? It can harm your baby. Strange things happen to those who ignore the sun's warning." Adoni burst into laughing. "Ajoke, seriously? That's just an old wives' tale." Ajoke's face turned serious. "Laugh all you want, but don't say I didn't warn you. I know someone whose baby was born with..." She trailed off, making a dramatic face. Adoni shook her head, chuckling as she walked away. But as she turned the corner, a shiver ran down her spine, even in the heat. By evening, the rumor had spread like wildfire. At the market, women whispered as they packed their stalls. In WhatsApp groups, exaggerated messages about Adoni's recklessness flew back and forth. "She walked under the sun at noon," Mama Kemi said in a herb shop, shaking her head. "Does she want the spirit to switch her baby with something else?" Even Kola, her husband, received a text from an old aunt. "Tell your wife to stop walking in the sun. It is dangerous for the child." When Kola returned home, Adoni was on a laptop sipping cold water. He sat beside her and showed her the text message. "Babe, what's all this about you and the sun?" Adoni rolled her eyes. "It's Ajoke. She started all this nonsense." Kola said, "You know how people are here. Superstitions run deep. Just ignore them." Adoni smirked. "Of course, I have better things to do than to argue with Ajoke." But deep down, a tiny seed of doubt had been planted in Adoni's mind. That night, Adoni had a strange dream. She was walking under the blazing sun, holding a small basket. As she looked down, the basket was empty. Suddenly, a dark shadow appeared in front of her. "Why do you defy the sun?" the shadow hissed, its voice echoing. Adoni tried to run, but her feet were stuck. The shadow reached for her belly, and she screamed. She woke up in a cold sweat. Kola stared beside her. "What's wrong?" "I just had a bad dream," she whispered, clenching her belly. But the dream stayed with her, making her question everything. Dear viewers, do you really think there is anything wrong with pregnant women walking in the sun? The next morning, Adoni decided to brush off the dream. She focused on work until noon when she felt restless. Stepping onto the balcony, she spotted an old man sitting under a mango tree across the street. He was dressed in a tattered shirt and cap, but something about him seemed out of place. His gaze locked onto hers, and she felt a chill. "Good afternoon," she called, forcing a smile. The man didn't respond. Instead, he raised his hand and pointed at the sky. Then he pointed at her belly. Adoni froze. She quickly stepped back inside and locked the door. Adoni couldn't shake the image of the old man pointing at her belly. She peeked out the window, but the man was gone. Shaking her head, she muttered, "It's just my imagination." That evening, as Kola walked in the home office, Adonis sat on the couch scrolling through social media. Suddenly, a WhatsApp voice note popped into one of the neighborhood group. It was Mama Kemi's voice. I saw her again today. Pregnant women walking in the sun. They don't respect tradition. Does she want her baby to be born under a curse? People need to warn her before it's too late. Adonis' heart sank. She wanted to defend herself, but she knew it would only fuel the gossip. Why do they love drama so much? She muttered. Just then, Kola came into the room. You're frowning. What's wrong? She handed him the phone. After listening to the voice note, Kola sighed. This is getting ridiculous. Do you want me to talk to them? No, Anthony replied firmly. Let them talk. I am not giving them the satisfaction of a response. Kola nodded, but the tension was palpable. The next morning, Aduni decided to confront the gossip indirectly. She walked into Mama Kemi's herb shop, carrying a small basket of oranges as a peace offering. Mama Kemi looked surprised to see her. Aduni, Iya Beji, she welcomed. How is the baby? The baby is fine, thank you, Aduni said, forcing a smile. I brought you some oranges, ma. Mama Kemi's face softened. Thank you, my dear. Please sit down. Aduni sat on the wooden stool, her heart racing. Mama Kemi, I've been hearing some things about pregnant women walking in the sun. Is it true? Does it really bring harm to the child? Mama Kemi leaned forward, her voice low. It's not just a rumor, my daughter. The sun carries mysteries we cannot understand. Pregnant women should avoid its peak hours. There are forces that walk in the sun, and they are not always kind. Aduni frowned. But how can a sunlight harm a baby? Isn't that just superstition? Mama Kemi shook her head. You young people think everything is science. Mark my words, Aduni. If you ignore these warnings, you may regret it later. Aduni left the shop more confused than ever. Later that afternoon, Aduni decided to visit Iyabo, her best friend, and a doctor. She needed logical advice to calm her nerves. On her way, she passed the mango tree where she had seen the old man. To her shock, the man was there again, sitting cross-legged and staring ahead. Good afternoon, she called again nervously. The man didn't move. Aduni quickened her pace, but just as she passed, he whispered, "The sun washes Aduni. Be careful." She froze and turned around, but it was gone again. Her heart pounded as she hurried to Yabo's house. Yabo welcomed Aduni. You look stressed. What's going on? Aduni explained everything. The gossip, the dream, and the encounter with the old man. Yabo listened carefully before laughing. Aduni, you know better than to listen to these old wolf's tales. There is no scientific link between sunlight and harm to your baby, except for dehydration or overheating. But Yabo, Aduni said, her voice trembling. What about the old man? He knows my name. How? Yabo's smile fluttered. Wait, are you saying you've never met the man before? Aduni shook her head. Okay, Yabo said, her tone serious. If he shows up again, let me know. But for now, stay dehydrated and rest. Don't let fear consume you. Aduni nodded, feeling a little reassured. But deep down, she wasn't sure if she believed it. Few weeks later, Aduni went into labor. Kola rushed her to the hospital, and by the early morning hours, they welcomed a beautiful baby boy into the world. However, as the doctors and nurse cleaned him up, they paused and exchanged a worried glances. Is everything okay? Aduni asked, her heart racing with anxiety. The doctor smiled gently, but with concern. Your baby is healthy, but he is born with albinism. Aduni's heart sank. She looked at Kola, confused and scared. Albinism? But why? Kola tried to comfort her. It's okay, my darling. Don't let's panic. He is our son and is perfect. It's just albinism. But Aduni's mind was filled with questions. Could this be because I walked in the sun during my pregnancy? Was this my fault? Back home, Aduni couldn't shake the thoughts that were clouding her mind. She spent hours staring at her baby, wondering if her actions had somehow caused the condition. She couldn't help but replay the warnings from Mama Kemi and the old man in her mind. The son. As the days passed, Aduni grew more anxious. She started to blame herself, believing that walking in the afternoon sun during her pregnancy had caused her child to be born with albinism. One afternoon, her best friend Iyabo the doctor stopped by to visit the baby. She could see the concern on Aduni's face the moment she walked in. "What's wrong?" Iyabo asked. Aduni hesitated, glancing at her son before speaking. "Iyabo, I've been thinking. Is it possible that my walking in the sun while pregnant caused this? Is it my fault he was born with albinism?" Iyabo's face softened with understanding. She took a deep breath and sat beside Aduni. "No, Aduni. Albinism is a genetic condition. It happens when both parents carry the gene, even if they don't show it themselves. Walking in the sun has nothing to do with albinism." Aduni blinked. "But I thought people said that walking in the sun was dangerous for pregnant women." Iyabo shook her head. "It's an old myth, Aduni. There is no scientific proof that walking in the sun, even in the afternoon, can cause a harm to the baby or cause the baby to be born with albinism. It's just a superstition." Aduni felt a wave of relief wash over her. "So it wasn't my fault?" Iyabo smiled. "Of course not. Your baby is perfect just the way he is, and this is something that happens naturally. We are all different in our own little way, and that is what makes the world a beautiful place." With Iyabo's reassurance, Aduni felt a sense of peace. She started to educate herself about albinism and learned that it wasn't a result of anything she had done during her pregnancy. It was simply a genetic trait passed down from both parents. Over the next few days, Iyabo began to share her experience with others, explaining the truth about albinism and dispelling the myth that walking in the sun could cause harm to a pregnant woman or a child. She also shared the stories with her neighbor, telling them that it wasn't true, that such superstition only added unnecessary fear to expectant mothers. "I have learned that pregnant women walking in the sun is just a rumor. There is no scientific fact to back it up," Aduni told her friends and family. "We need to stop spreading these ideas that only causes fear and confusion. My son is healthy, and that's all that matters." As time went on, Aduni's baby grew stronger every day, and she began to fully embrace a new role as a mother. She realized that her son born with albinism was a beautiful and a unique gift. She no longer carried the burden of guilt that she had once felt. Pregnant women no longer feared walking outside in the sun, knowing there was no truth to the rumor. And Aduni, she now walked proudly both in the sun and in her own strength, knowing that the love she had for her son was all that truly matters. Every child is a unique and a beautiful gift, created to shine in their own way. Having a child with albinism or special needs is not a result of any fault or mistake. It is a natural part of life's diversity. As mothers, your role is not to question your words or your action, but to provide love and care and strength for your child.